Today we have some breaking news in the boxing realm. We had heard rumors about it. We'd even heard, somewhat unofficial announcements about it. But Canelo versus Crawford is now official, ladies and gentlemen. It's officially happening on September 13th, live on Netflix. This one is a banger. They're calling it the fight of the century. It's definitely the biggest fight in boxing right now. And I am so pumped for this thing. Now, we're going to get into the minutia of it and all the stuff that's going to be happening and all the press conferences and everything else that's planned around it. But before we do, let's go to H.E. himself. The big H.E. had a message about this fight. And we're going to take a look and see what Turki Al-Sheikh is saying with this official announcement.
Canelo Crawford, 13th of September in Las Vegas. Thank you for everyone. Thank you, Canelo. Thank you, Crawford. Thank you, Netflix.
Thank you, Wade, maybe? I don't know. Maybe thanks to W.A.D.E. I don't know. I was here. I didn't get a thank you. Come on, H.E. You're right. I didn't have anything to do with this. We continue.
Bella. Thank you, Bella. Thank you, all your team in Netflix. Thank you, Nick Khan, TKO. Thank you, Dana, my brother, who he will promote this fight with me. Thank you for...
Okay, before we... I love Turki, man. Look at this pose. It's amazing. So before we go on, a lot of people had some thoughts about potentially Dana White and Turki not promoting this together because Dana White's name was not on one of the recent press releases. But I didn't think that he was... I didn't have any inside sources, but I didn't think that that was the case. I figured if Dana had signed his name onto something and that Riyadh Season was going to be doing this deal with TKO to make, they haven't really named it yet, but TKO Boxing, whatever that's going to be, that they were going to follow through with it. It is interesting, though, because Dana White will have a hand in promoting two major combat sports events on the same day. And I don't think that they cancel out business the way that everybody else thinks that they potentially will. I think people put too much stock into people picking and choosing. This may happen, but with Netflix being involved and because boxing audiences are far different from MMA audiences, you can look at my channel and see that. Like, they're not the same audience. Most people that enjoy MMA watch MMA. Most people that enjoy boxing watch boxing, and the crossover between the two is very minimal. Honestly, the crossover between the two might be the Jake Paul fights, the crossover boxing fights. But this one will have mainstream appeal. I do think that it being on Netflix is going to help, which is why I think Dana was more on board to do it, because two pay-per-view events running against each other doesn't hurt his pockets, but it may potentially get in the way of business for somebody. This one and UFC 317, I don't think are going to really, they may overlap time-wise, but they're not going to really do much as far as running into each other.
Thank you for everyone. Thank you, Canelo. Thank you, Crawford.
In your city.
Thank you, Netflix.
Yeah, Canelo Crawford will be free because, yes, you'll need Netflix to watch, but this is the same playbook that Jake and Mike Tyson used on Netflix. I think it's a good idea. There's going to be a ton of eyes on it. That's why I said it's the biggest boxing event of the year. American audience, I think, desperately needs it, because right now, American boxing, especially what happened with Keyshawn Davis last weekend, we have, younger guys like Abdullah Mason. We have Emiliano Vargas. We have those guys, Richard Torres, but American fandom in boxing right now needs to grow, and this could be a way to potentially do that. The buffering issue, we'll see. I think that was a first event thing, but then again, I think the NFL might have had some issues with it as well. But I think the Netflix platform is such a good one for people that are on the fence about buying a boxing pay-per-view. And let's be honest, for years, boxing cards have been astronomically priced for pay-per-view. The UFC does it too now, but there are some of those fights that just aren't worth pay-per-view. Like, they're not worth the amount of money charged. And I'm not singling out any fight or fight promoter, but it's just in general, sometimes they are way too overpriced here, and in other countries, it's a lot cheaper. So for this is a big deal for American audiences who are used to paying $50, $60, $70 to watch a fight, to now get that fight for, whatever it is, your Netflix subscription, $10, $15 a month. But you're not paying anything on top of that. Essentially, after that, it's free. This is a massive deal.
The Ring Magazine.
Thank you, Wade.
Thank you for everyone. This is the biggest fight in boxing and in history in the last 10 years and maybe more. Thank you, Shepard, from the team of Canelo. Thank you.
Is this the biggest boxing fight in the last 10 years. I mean, again, if you take away Jake and Mike Tyson, which numbers-wise is not going to be beat probably, I mean, the numbers they're going to get on Netflix are going to be huge. If they surpass Jake and Mike, that would be insane. I don't know, though. I don't know that they're going to get there, but what they can do is surpass pretty much every other number. They're going to surpass Eubank Ben. They're going to surpass any of that. Maybe not. When was Conor and Floyd? We're coming up right at the end of that Conor-Floyd thing. Floyd and Manny was before that. But of the last decade, this will probably be the biggest one. And the reason that you put Manny and Floyd and Conor and Floyd in there is because their numbers were behind the pay-per-view wall, right? Like, you can't really compare numbers on Netflix to the amount of numbers they drew on pay-per-view. That was crazy. But they certainly will do. I mean, I don't want to put a number out there and be wrong, but I'd be surprised if they didn't do at least like 10, 20, maybe 30 million, right? I think you could definitely get 20 to 30 million people to watch this.
And this is very good opportunity for the talent in boxing. We will make the undercard, all the undercard, about talent. Because we have the biggest fight. We don't need big fight in the undercard. For that, we will give the chance for the talent. If you think you are ready to be in the undercard of Canelo Crawford, come talk with us.
That's it. Me and Aaron the Plumber, undercard. Let's go, dude. Okay, so realistically, this is an interesting, like, jokes aside, this is an interesting take from Turkey. He's like, we don't need to sell this fight anymore because the headliners sell it. We just want talent. Now, the question I guess I would have is, where does the intersection between talent and hype differentiate for Turkey? Because he has a bunch of ring ambassadors, right? He has Moses Atalma. He has Abdullah Mason. He has Keyshawn Davis. He has a lot of these guys. Shakur Stevenson, which is, probably going to be a little bit of a tight window for Shakur, but you never know. There has to be a way to get talented guys that potentially can be stars on that card. I think Abdullah Mason should be on that card. He's super talented. I'm also a fan of Emiliano Vargas. You guys know this. That would be great. I don't know if he has something going on with the ring or not, but Moses Atalma is fighting very soon. I think in the middle of July again. Bam Rodriguez, sure. I'm down with it, but I guess what he's trying to say is we want talent to expose the talent to new boxing fans, but at the same time, the most talented people are the fighters on the rise as it is. But I don't mind prioritizing talent on the undercard because you're trying to use this card to build interest not only in the sport, but also in some of these fighters that don't have the name Canelo has. Right? You're building interest in the main event just by it being the main event. But the fighters themselves that are, in their rise to the belts or just got a belt or whatever, they can definitely use from this exposure. And again, the only thing we have to compare it to is the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson card. And some of the fighters on there have massive benefits from being there. Like Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano already were big names by the time they were the co-main event, but they had 50 million people watch them, 60 million, whatever it was, in that co-main. Mario Barrios, even though he didn't have a great performance on that card, he's getting Manny Pacquiao in his next fight, right? He's the champ. I think it was a draw that he had on that card, but getting a Manny Pacquiao fight after being on that, Name value, talent, there has to be somewhere in the middle, but again, it's just mostly because the talented guys are the ones rising in the sport and creating a name for themselves as it. I think what Turkey is saying is, like, we don't need Anthony Joshua on the card, right? We don't need Tyson Fury on the card. We don't need, like, some of these higher level, to the casual audience, big names on this card. We want the younger talent to come through.
Thank you, and see you in Vegas the 13th of September, inshallah.
There we go. September 13th, you will see Big H.E., Dana White, and of course, that absolutely stacked main event. Speaking of Dana White, here's what he had to say on the announcement. Quote, Turki Al-Sheikh wants to make the biggest fights that fans want to see in boxing, and this is right up my alley. Are you kidding me that the first boxing fight I'm going to promote is Canelo versus Crawford? It's literally a once-in-a-lifetime fight, live on Saturday, September 13th, streaming globally on Netflix. Two of the greatest boxers in the sport will meet in an historic fight from Las Vegas. Now, this was originally supposed to be a Friday fight, and Netflix does do a lot of Friday events. I think it's probably because they have, American sports that they run up against on Saturdays, but this one is different. They're going to do it on a Saturday, and I have a feeling that's because of a couple of different factors. Number one being Canelo is a Saturday fighter, and he wants his fans to be able to see him, and he is the big draw of this card, let's be honest. He is the biggest draw, probably outside of, Anthony Joshua in the UK, or Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury in the UK. He's probably the biggest draw in boxing. He's going to have some say, and I think that probably he was like, I'm not doing this Friday thing where my fans can't come out. We're doing it on Saturday. So that's Dana White's thoughts on it. I am super interested to see Dana in boxing and how that whole thing is going to go. Another big update that we got today as well from the Ring Magazine is that this will be a 3 press conference tour right at the end of June here, essentially all in the span of 1 week, from Friday to Friday. We have 3 press conferences for Canelo and Terence Crawford, 3 different cities. One will be in Riyadh, one will be in New York, and one will be in Las Vegas in the T-Mobile Arena. Now, this is at Fanatics Fest too. Ooh, okay. I like this. Fanatics Fest in New York. This is where, again, Jake and Mike Tyson did their press conference, and it was rowdy up in there. Right? New York's always got some rowdy fans. I hope that all of these, I don't know how the Riyadh one's going to go, but I hope that most of these at least are in front of fans. Not that these guys have like generational beef and that they're, either of them are massive talkers, but you want some juice. You want some energy for this, right? I think you want a little energy, so putting it in front of fans at Fanatics Fest, that's good. And the T-Mobile, that's more location than anything else. So that's more information, but we actually have the official article. The official news bulletin dropped. This was dropped 3 hours ago. Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford lands on Netflix, Vegas, to host a super fight. Now, something I'm not seeing so far is a venue, right? We know the date. We know the city, but we don't have the venue yet. And I think, speculating, because I don't have the answer, guess we'll find out, but I think it's because they're trying to negotiate or trying to find a way to get Allegiant Stadium. I have to think that. Although I don't know if anything's going on in T-Mobile Arena on that date. What if they try to get the Sphere? I mean, sure, that too. Part of me though wants to have it in a traditional boxing setting. I don't know. Part of me just wants it to be in T-Mobile. The Canelo Alvarez Terence Crawford super fight for the ring and undisputed super middleweight championship will take place September 13th in Las Vegas. Be streamed globally on Netflix at no additional cost to the 300 million plus subscribers. Yeah, if they hit 30 million to 60 million people watching this, that would be a massive number. Alvarez is boxing's top star. He will defend his 168-pound crown against Crawford, a fellow future Hall of Famer. Will climb 2 weight classes for the biggest challenge of his career. Again, I've talked about this. I don't think that the weight is going to be that big a difference. Maybe Terence fighting at that weight will make a difference to him personally, right? Like it's just not going to feel the same, or it's going to be a little bit to maneuver, but Canelo is not, like Canelo's size does not scare me if I'm a Terence Crawford fan, because I've seen both of them during fight weeks and out of fight weeks, and there isn't much of a size difference there. Terence looks maybe even like bigger frame-wise. Alvarez is the ring's number 8 pound-for-pound boxer and owns the Ring Magazine championship at 168 pounds. This will be the Mexican icon's 10th defense of his Ring Magazine super middleweight championship. Quote, I'm super happy to be making history again, and this time on a Riyadh season card that will be broadcast on Netflix, said Alvarez, 34. Jesus, Canelo is only 2 years older than me. I have done nothing in life. My goodness. On September 13th, I am ready to show once again that I am the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And then we had a quote, it looks like, from Terence Crawford. He says, my perfect record speaks for itself. I'm the best fighter in the world, and no matter the opponent or weight class, I always come out on top. Crawford said, on September 13th, my hand will be raised once again as the world watches greatness. Okay. So, yeah, again, we don't have the one thing, which is the place, right? The actual location of the bout. That's the only thing really missing at the moment. But other than that, I love this fight. Obviously, David Benavidez right now is the fight I think a lot of people would, in a pie-in-the-sky scenario want to see. But I love this fight. I'm not going to complain about it because it is two of the best in the world going at it. And yes, weight class is a little bit different for Terence Crawford, but he's not fighting what I would consider to be a normal 168-pound fighter. Canelo is not that, right? Canelo has moved up multiple weight classes to get to 168. So they're really, I mean, when you look at him standing toe-to-toe here, you don't see a massive size difference for Canelo. In fact, you kind of see the opposite. But we also have something we're going to be breaking down when it comes out, a Piers Morgan Uncensored between Canelo and Bud Crawford. I hope that they get these two on ESPN as well, because Piers Morgan, that's going to do well in the UK, and the UK is a massive boxing audience. But if this card is truly to build American boxing, then you need to have it on American massive platform. ESPN, they got to get Fox Sports, something, a media tour with all of that, right? Have to.
Too great in the last era. It's going to be big.
What does it do to your two legacies?
Sometimes people talk shit a lot, and when they stay in the ring, they do nothing.
You know, a win against Canelo Alvarez put me, you know, on Mount Rushmore.
Like, look at them sitting next to each other. Terence looks bigger. I don't see this massive size difference everybody's complaining about. Wade, how do you see the fight playing out? Right now, I'm leaning Terence Crawford. I'm leaning Terence Crawford right now. Not just based on Canelo's last performance, but based on Canelo over the last few years, if I'm being honest. I haven't seen the Canelo of the entry into 160 that was able to be defensive while being in front of you, that was able to not just throw power punches, but his jab was there. He was able to set things up. And again, he's done that, but it's just the punchline, no pun intended, hasn't been there for Canelo. Sure, he dropped Berlanga, but he wasn't able to stop him. Dropped Munguia, wasn't able to stop him. And maybe those are, in retrospect, good wins, but I don't know. I think he's going to need a little more than just the power punching to beat Terence Crawford. Let's go on now. Oh, you guys wanted me to look at the next, or the newest Terence Crawford footage. Let's take a look here, because y'all are saying that he was moving slow. Looks like he's 180 pounds right here, dude. Like he looks massive. Like the feints. So is this the footage that people are saying that Terence looks slow in? I really wonder if people genuinely watch boxing or have even, participated in the least bit. He may look slow on fight night, but he's just shadow boxing. That doesn't look slow to me, and if it's slow, it's because it's deliberate. He's deliberately not moving fast. Everything is tight, hands where they need to be, feet where they need to be. This is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.